Hello, good morning, friends. You know that I am Dr. Jetling Elosa, the professor of law, and I am running a YouTube channel called Law Speeches. In this channel, I am recording my lectures on different subjects of law and also recording the lectures on world and the other topical issues. And today we go another important lecture regarding the Constitution of India, its features and the other aspects of the Constitution of India. You know, India is the largest democracy in the world. It is flourishing democracy, we can call it in other sense. Since 1950s, when the Constitution came into force from the 26th of January of 1950, it became world largest democracy. Every intervals we are conducting the elections and basic upon the people's mandate, different political parties have been occupying the power. Because India is not only largest democracy, it has inspired many countries in the world, as its independence movement itself has provided a spirit to their independence movements, in particular in Malaysia, Indonesia, and many African countries and also South American countries. So struggle for independence is a very hard fought battle which is led by different people from different walks of life. From India was under subjugation of the foreign rulers for more than 700 years. First, Muslims like the Afghani people, they came from the Middle East. Then the Europeans, Dutch, Portuguese, French and Britishers, they came and they conquered, occupied the territory, and for that we have seen many leaders. They have fought for independent movement, and as well aware that we had the first war of independence of 1957, Jhansi Lakshmi Bai, Tantia Tope, like that they fought very hard. And in 1885, W.C. Banerjee and A.C. Home, they started a Congress party in Calcutta. The first session was conducted, and basically the Congress party had the aspect for the share of power in the administration, and ultimately under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and many leaders, they have got liberated India from the foreign clutches. You know, the foreign rulers, they try to exploit. That is a common phenomenon of any foreign ruler or any foreign power. So they had exploited us in all the aspects, socially, economically, culturally. They have exploited us. And as you know that because of many struggles for independence, ultimately the Indian Independence Act was enacted by the Britishers, and the nation was divided into two separate nations. One is India, other is Pakistan. So things are running like that. Then we need a constitution to run the country, governance of the country. For that, a constitutional assembly was constituted by then, and the members of the constitutional assembly, they got elected, and the Congress party had gained a lot of majority, and after 2 years, 11 months of 18 days of hardest deliberations, they have given us, gifted, we can say, the Constitution of India. Number of suggestions were made, discussions were made, around 8,000 suggestions have come, and they have deliberated. Each word which is inserted in the Constitution of India has been thoroughly debated on the floor of the Parliament. And it was accepted on 26th of November 1949. Because of that, and every year we are celebrating the Law Day. From recent onwards, we are calling it as the Constitutional Day throughout India. So are you well aware that and the Constitution of India came into force from the 26th of January of 1950. Then question comes to our mind, what is meant by Constitution? So Constitution is nothing but it is a law, a rule to running the country. You know, running of a country is not a simple. It is a huge task. We need a inbuilt mechanism. A system should be strong. So the Constitution speaks about all those aspects. Then basically, if you observe the world, every country has its own constitution, and basically there are two kinds of constitutions are there, we can say. That is, one is a written constitution, other is an unwritten constitution. As you well aware that ours is a written constitution. India, then America, then Australia, Canada, they have all are written constitutions. Whereas if you observe, if we go to England, it is their constitution is not a written constitution, it is a unwritten constitution. It is basically basis upon the usages, customs and precedents. The entire administration is governed by this process. But us, no such thing is there. We have written, visible constitution is there. Then powers have been clearly demarcated. Which system has to function where, and how the process would be there. Everything is there in the Constitution. And as you know that ours is a federal constitution. So what is meant by federal means where the distribution of powers between the center and the state we can see that will be called as a federal constitution. But the eminent jurist from Britain, Professor Veere, he says that Indian constitution is not a federal, fully federal. It is only a quasi-federal constitution. He is also right. In his statement, he defended that when the center has a more power than compared to the state in every aspect. And in Indian Constitution, center has the power under Article 352 to 360 to impose the emergencies, and center has the power to regulate the foreign affairs, scientific affairs, defense affairs, and center can act as a big brother in case of emergencies. That is the reason. And at that time, what happened? The state becomes administration, state powers becomes weakened. So Parliament acquires the domain of the central government. Parliament acquires the domain of the state governments. So Veere is correct in his stand. So maybe whether we is a federal constitution or quasi-federal, but since 1950s till today, our constitution has facing all the challenges in a successful manner. So that is reflecting the success of the makers of the Constitution of India. If you see the characteristics of the Constitution of India, we have number of characteristics are there. We discuss one by one. One by one, the first characteristic is our constitution is a lengthy constitution, a bulky constitution. You know, if you observe the American Constitution, they have only 7 articles. In case of Australia, they have 128 articles. In Canada, they have 147 articles are there. But at the time of commencement of the Constitution of India, we had 393 articles divided into 22 parts, and at that time they had 9 schedules. But by all these years has resulted into the expansion of the Constitution of India. Till today, we had enacted 104 amendments to the Constitution of India, and around 444 articles are been inserted, and there are 12 schedules have been added by the Parliament. Not only Parliament is making. Professor Gray of United States of America, he says that who makes the laws? He says that not only Parliament is making, but also judiciary also making the laws. Maybe it may look strange, but it is true. Why? Because if you take the example of the Article 21, which speaks about the very in a simple, that is a one sentence, no person shall be deprived of the life and liberty, personal liberty by except due process of the law. That is only simple, small sentence, but it has been gone into expansion into hundreds of books because of the judgments rendered by the Supreme Court from the time to time. So, Justice Gray is absolutely correct in his stand. Then, the bulkiness of the Constitution is, as you know, that we suffered a lot during the time of the foreign forces. So, our forefathers, the makers of the Constitution, they had thought that the generation should not suffer with all these aspects in years to come, what they had suffered. So that is the reason they brought all the good principles from the all across the world. Like I mentioned here a few from United Kingdom. They brought the parliamentary system of governance because we are accustomed to this system from 1909, 1919 and 1935 of Government India Acts. The same system has been continued. Then from the Britain we got the concept of single citizenship and rule of law. Then privileges of the speaker and legislative members. So these things have been borrowed from the British unwritten constitution. From America also we brought. Those include independence of judiciary. Because judiciary plays very, very paramount importance in protecting our rights and interpretation of the laws. So that is the reason they wanted to have a independent of judiciary. Then separation of powers, legislature, executive, judiciary, they have separate wings of the government. So they have the separation of powers have been included from the American Constitution. Then we have judicial review. So judicial review is another important aspect. So every act made by the parliament or legislature, any authority, it can be reviewed, comes under review on the judiciary. That is under Article 13 of the Constitution of India. That we have brought from the America, and also we brought from America a very important aspect, that is a equal protection of the laws. So whoever may be, whatever your status may be, where you have taken birth, so Prime Minister to a postman, a ordinary man, all are equal before the law, and law should protect them equal manner. That concept is which we borrowed, which we got from the American Constitution. Then from Ireland, we brought the directive principles of state policy, which we inserted or enumerated under part 4th of the Constitution of India. And the Irish people, they got it from the Spanish Constitution. So from Australia also we brought some principles like the freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse between the states, and also concurrent list, if it is a list which is there in between the center and the state, that has been brought from the Australian Constitution. And also international treaties are there that have to be implemented by the central government. And also the testimony which is be included in the preamble, that also been brought from the Australian Constitution. Then from the Fifth Republic, that is France, where which upholds the liberty in a aloft manner. From that country we brought the principles of liberty, equality and fraternity. That has been added in our preamble itself. Then the quasi-federal structures. So quasi-judicial authorities also we brought it from the French Constitution. From Canada also we brought some principles like distribution of powers between the center and the state governments. Then we have the residuary powers are there, which are in the hands of the central government, and so there should not have any conflict between the state and the central government. That to avoid it, we brought these principles from the the Canadian Constitution. Then from the Soviet Union, erstwhile Soviet Union, we got the fundamental duties under which is we inserted under Article 51A by 42nd Amendment, which was made in 1976 during the time of emergency. So we have 10 commandments are there, duties have been prescribed, every citizen has to perform. Then we have the Weimar Republic from Europe. We brought the emergency provisions, so that has been inserted under Article 352 to 360 of the Constitution of India. Then from South Africa, we brought the amending the Constitution, and we inserted under Article 368 of the Constitution of India. So, and again from Japan, we brought the principle of a due process. Due process of law is an important principle which has been inserted into the Constitution of India. So, these are some of the important provisions which we have borrowed from the other constitutions and we inserted in our constitution. So we want to give a perfect document, a sacred document to the people. And the people's suffrages are paramount. They should not be suffered. That should be remote. With that view, this constitution is created. That is the reason we have this bulkiness of the Constitution of India. Then, if you see the Constitution of India, the second feature we can say that is the Constitution provides the establishment of sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Very first part, preamble, where these words have been visible. Then the word of socialist and secular were not there at the time of commencement of the Constitution of India. Again, these things have been added by the 42nd Amendment of 1976. So, these are the primary things where we are bringing this constitution. Then if you see the third feature is that parliamentary system of governance, as I told you earlier. So we are accustomed to this form of government since Britishers. So the makers of the constitution, they does not want to insert a new system like the presidential system which is there in America. Though it is a successful, but we Constitutional Assembly was suspecting because we had a land of multi-religious, multicultural, multi-ethnic people are there, and also we are under the once at that time one of the developing countries in the world. So that is the reason they are not preferred this this presidential form of governance in our country, and because we are accustomed to by the Government of India Act of 1935, the system same has been carried forward by the makers of the constitution. So we can say that ours is a parliamentary system of governance. Maybe some weaknesses are there in this system. Maybe there is many multiplicity of political parties in parliamentary system, and there is no single man is liable for, as it is speaks about the collective responsibility of the ministers, and illiteracy of voters, because many of our voters are not literate because we have provided the adult franchise. They are not aware that whom they are casting vote, what happens if they cast the vote to certain particular person. Everybody has given the adult voting rights have been provided. And there is one more important lacuna in the system we are seeing, that is the criminalization of politics. The political system became criminalized everywhere, from the local level to the national level. The criminals are entered into the august houses or bodies. So that is very pain. even number of NGOs, they have time to time providing the data. Even time of elections also they are providing the data regarding the candidates. But the voters have ignored, and money power, caste power, religious power are playing the very, very vital role in our system. So criminals have encroached into the domain of the highest bodies. Though in spite of we were making the number of laws, and also from time to time Supreme Court and other high courts have providing a certain guidelines for curbing of the system, curbing of such persons to entry. Then the other feature we can say that there is a unique blend of rigidity and flexibility. So our constitution provides unique blend. It is a kind of a blend where rigidity is there. If it is emergency, the constitution becomes very rigid. You cannot change the provisions of the constitution. But in ordinary times, you can change. That is the reason. Till today, we are amended the constitution into 104 times. Recently, 105th amendment also been passed by the parliament. So, and Article 368 is provided for the amending. There are three kinds of amendments are there. Amendment by simple majority, some provisions can be amended by simple way, amendment by special majority, and some important provisions are there which affecting the center and states. Then amendment by the special majority as well as the ratification of the half of the states, that is also provided. So because of these factors, our constitution became is unique blend of rigidity and the flexibility. Then other feature is fundamental rights. So fundamental rights are a unique feature in our Constitution of India. Though in America also they have Bill of Rights have been added in American Constitution, but our fundamental rights are more than that of it. So every aspect concerning our living, our human life has been provided under the part 3rd of under the heading of the fundamental rights. Then the Constitution also provides that state cannot violate our fundamental right under any circumstances. If does, any citizen or sometimes a non-citizen can also go to the apex court of the land, Supreme Court of Land. It itself is a fundamental right under the Article 32 of the Constitution of India. So this is Dr. Ambedkar, he remarked that the part 3rd is a soul of the Constitution of India. Then we have directive principle of state policies. This is another feature where, because we got liberated, came as a nation of independent nation, a sovereign nation. For what purpose we have been got? What is the purpose of becoming a nation? So what are the objectives a nation has to achieve and accomplish? For that reason we have social objectives are there, economic objectives are there, and other welfare objectives are there. So the country has to strive towards in one path, whatever political party may be coming into power or maybe going away, but we have to move towards that path of achieving the economic justice, social justice, then achieving the welfare of the people. From that is there under Article 36 to 51. And these matters cannot be questioned in the court of law. So we can say that directive principle state policies are unjustifiable rights. It cannot be questioned. If the state is failing to follow or failing to achieve, you cannot question, you cannot go to the court of law. Then other feature is federation of strong tendencies. As I already told you that our constitution is federal constitution. There the distribution of powers is clearly visible. If you see the schedule 7, where union list, state list, concurrent list and residuary power. So what extent, what matters the union can command in its exclusive domain, states and the what matters state can be administered, and concurrently union and state they can also administer certain matters. If these the matters which are not provided in the concurrent in this list, concurrent list, then residuary power is there in the hands of the central government. So that the clear-cut list, division of power is clear-cutly visible in our constitution. So that is the reason. So we can say mother of the division of power in the world constitution is our constitution. But sometimes maybe the center may be overriding the states. We are attaining the Professor Veeray rightly pointed out that is not a fully federal, it is a quasi-federal, maybe sometimes, but most of the time if you observe the running of the constitution since 1950s, the federal structure is very much visible to our eye. The next feature is adult suffrage. So as you know that every citizen, if you are crossing the age of 18 years, earlier it was 21 years, but by 61st Amendment of 1989, the age has been decreased to the 18 years. Such you can exercise your franchise as per your wish and will. Even recently Supreme Court gave a judgment that if the candidates, you are not suitable candidates are there, you can press the nota button, not eligible button, or you are not liking any candidate, you can press the not eligible button. But still it requires lot of clarification, and some cases are being filed in the Supreme Court itself, whether if a nota gets a majority, what happened to that seat. Again, the re-election should be conducted or not, that matter is pending before the apex court of the land. Then another important feature we have to discuss, that is the independence of judiciary. So judiciary is a safeguarding agency to citizens of India and also to non-citizens. So it should be independent. It is not a subservient to the legislature or executive. It is an independent authority. It can. So that is the reason we have judiciary has been considered as a separate wing. And the same principle which is also there in the America, that same has been added here. And the talk is going on. Why they should not be liable for accountability, judicial accountability, for more efficient functioning of the judiciary, that talk is going on. Maybe in near future, the bill may be passed, judicial accountability bill may be passed in the parliament. Then we have secular states. This is another feature. You know, as India is a land of multi-religious people. All across the religions are found in our country. You can practice any religion which you like. There is no bar. As per your conscience, you can practice, you can profess you can practice, you can propagate. 3 P's are there under Article 25 of the Constitution of India. But subject to public safety, public order. But state cannot practice any religion in its official function. But individuals can practice. So, but there is a talk is going on. India is not a some political party. They say that it is not a secular state. It is a pseudo secular. Maybe it is the political stand. But basically, if you observe the constitutional point of view, India is perfectly a secular country. No doubt about it. Then we have the single citizenship. Whether you born in Jammu, Kashmir, or Telangana, or Assam, wherever it may be, you will be called as a citizen of India. So single citizenship is there, but if you go to America, they have the dual citizenship. State citizenship is given, federal citizenship is given. But here no such thing. This we borrowed from the British system. Why? Because if you giving two citizenship, because India is a land of multi-religious, multi-linguistic, multi-society, plural society, it may lead to division and divisive forces may gain. That should, to avoid this, the makers of the Constitutional Assembly, they thought and thoroughly debated and discussed, and they given us only single citizenship. But recently, many Indians are settled in different countries. Around 180 countries Indians are settled. The governments of the day, they are planning to provide them citizenship also. Whether it may be dual citizenship, it is not a dual citizenship because they are retaining the Indian citizenship, so they should be called as a citizens of overseas. A separate ministry is constituted in the central government to look after their affairs. Even the talk is going on. Why we should not provide the voters voting rights to them, because they denied of the voter rights in their where they are residing and also in our country. Maybe the day may come that such demand is being accepted in our country also. Then they say another feature is that fundamental duties. As you know, that it is added by 42nd Amendment in 1976, that 10 commandments duties have been castigated to every citizen. Earlier it was not there because the different circumstances in North India, South India, and also in northeastern states led to providing of this discharge of 10 duties by every citizen. So, because of this, all these aspects have been added into our constitution. Our constitution became a very, very bulky document. So day by day also it is becoming a bulky, just I told you earlier. Supreme Court is passing number of decisions on different articles. So all are becoming the law of the land, because whatever declared by Supreme Court becomes the law of the land. And we are, some of them being inserted, not directly but indirectly, has been observed as the constitutional principles. So our constitution is not only guiding us in proper direction, and to review it also, Justice Venkatachalaya Commission was constituted in way back in 2000. But the Justice Venkatachalaya Commission also clearly, categorically has stated that the constitution should be continued, same sort of governance should be continued. And there was the Professor Vasant Sathe, when he was a information and broadcasting minister in Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi government. He propounded why we should not go for the presidential form of governance. A talk was made, but the Justice Venkateshwara Commission has not accepted that talk because our system is running smoothly. Why we should disturb it? Maybe some good reasons are there, but they have some own problems. We should not want to that problem should become to a running institutions. So we can discuss the constitution hours together, but time is short. In today's, we only discussed the important features and characteristics of the Constitution of India, and I feel that you got my points, and I call upon all of you to subscribe to my channel called Law Speeches. If you feeling that my lectures are good or informative, please like it and share it among your friends and community. Thank you, one and all.